good hilarity and opinion with Jamie, Simon and Hutch. The Newcastle Comparison, live weekly on NUFC Talk Radio, on YouTube and in all your listening platforms. NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
Hello everybody, it's been a minute. Welcome to the Newcastle Comparison with me, Jamie Smith, and with my co-host Simon Carhill. Good evening, Simon.
Hello Jamie, evening everybody.
And with the psychedelic wax show that is David Hutchinson. What on earth are you doing there, Hutch? You've been flashing white, you've went direct to black, you've been kind of something in the middle, and now you look a little bit like you're in a vampire's basement.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I've got no idea what's going on with the camera. I try to filter to make myself look good, and now I look just as if I'm kind of phasing in and out of reality. So we'll progress.
It's a nice
as a filter just shut down altogether when tasked with such a mission to make you look good.
It is a difficult job to do, I'm sure.
Or as I know you, have you got one of them filters what you put in the air fryer and sellotape it over your computer, and that's what you think putting a filter on is?
Probably.
And now he's gone bright white, almost black and white. Speaking of black and white, it's been a week for Newcastle United, which we'll get into a little bit. Beating Chelsea 1-0. Well, for a start, we should address that we weren't around last week, but a mixed week in that late win against Man United, and then going out the cup to Man City, which felt a bit of a body blow to the season. But let's keep it current because a lot happened since then. Beating Chelsea 1-0 at Stamford Bridge, which not a lot of people saw coming. In only our fourth away win of the season, and not a bad one, but that followed on from Champions League. Well, it's a filling, isn't it, in a Barcelona sandwich? But as fillings go, it was quite tasty, wouldn't you say, Simon?
Yeah, superb. What a lovely surprise for a Saturday night that we did something that I don't think any of us were expecting that, especially after the efforts against Barcelona. We're going to get more into all of the both games, I think. But yeah, it was a treat just to hold on to a lead. We held on to a lead for the entire game, even with 8 minutes of nonsense added time. And that ref just dying for the other team to score. We held on to it. And I was left a little bewildered by the end of it, I'll not lie.
Do you think the ref was dying for the other team to score? Because
I just feel
they did surround him before the kickoff in some sort of weird ritual.
Well, yeah, I only caught some of that. So apparently he was protecting the ball before the start of the game.
Respecting the ball.
Respecting. Sorry.
They were showing the ball some respect, as if Liam Rossini is some kind of shaman, and they were doing a bit of a worship, Druid-esque worship. Hutch, that sounds like your sort of territory.
Well,
Are you done with that? Putting a circle around the ball?
When he said that, it just kind of it gave me the instant like Indiana Jones vibes of the Temple of Doom, where they've got those little tiny wooden artifacts and they're worshipping them. I didn't think that was that. I mean, he's kicked off that and said that the referee shouldn't have been there. It's like it's a few seconds before where the game starts. That's exactly where you want the referee. Yes, Casper the Ghost. Thank you. But I think that's more Chelsea's basically trying to assert their dominance, if you will, on the pitch. I get the impression that Liam Rossini is very much one of these who would appear on. Is it which podcast did Eddie Howe appear on? The High Performance podcast, and that kind of like doing their circular little vibe thing in the centre circle rather than in their own half of the pitch. It was kind of a bit, back in 2012, 2013 when the Tory party basically got told to assert their presence on the stage by standing with the legs really far apart. and you get those pictures of like George Osborne and Michael Gove practically doing the splits on stage. That's pretty much what it was. But why one of them didn't say to the referee, "Can you just move while we do our little huddle here?"
Yeah. And like that might have been a bit of a standoff. I should just say we should probably announce ourselves. We're live on NUFC Talk Radio across the Northeast with your up-to-date comparisons of how Conservative ministers used to stand in 2012. We're also on YouTube and we're available as a podcast. But overall, I think, we've got to take it as a good win at Chelsea, haven't we? A great win. Simon, do you think we're back on for Europe? Is that mad? Am I getting ahead of myself?
You are. You might be getting ahead of yourself. So yeah, there's. We might get into some of that in the comparisons as well. We have been in the last two games. We have played superbly. Like even against City, I think we played reasonably well. Obviously, beating Man United, Everton game aside, I think we've had a dark patch, and now we're coming out of it again. And it's happened before. It's happened when we've been in the Champions League. It's happened when we've not been in the Champions League. We've hit some form towards the end of the season. At the moment, like you could see us pushing into one of the, and I lose track of where the European places start and finish.
Right.
You could get into one of those places.
What I'm going to do, right, because I think there's a lot that goes into that European thing. I'm going to do a little thing after the match next weekend to see what the European places are and how it works and what it looks like being. But I'll do a very, very quick kind of York Notes version of it. So top four gets Champions League, right? England will get fifth place based on the results of the season so far. We will get the extra Champions League place. It would take a mad scenario for that not to happen. So top five will be Champions League. Sixth is automatically Europa League. It's looking likely that one of the top six will win the FA Cup. If they win the FA Cup, seventh becomes Europa League as well. And eighth will definitely be Conference League because Man City or Arsenal will win the League Cup and the Conference League spot goes down to there. Could be that ninth could even be enough if Villa come low enough and win the Europa League, but we're getting into massive variables there, which we'll cover. But I would feel pretty safe here saying if you can get eighth, you get the Conference League. If you get seventh, you get Europa League. That's what I'm calling it. Newcastle are now ninth. And I hate to think like this, but I sat and thought our last three wins, we've won away to Chelsea and away to Tottenham. And both of those home games, we kind of blew it to draw. 2-0 up against Chelsea and letting hapless Spurs equalise in the last minute with an awful overhead kick. And I think it's too tempting to look back on things like that and back on things. The thing I'd say is if we can get any sort of European spot, we can look forward. So, Hutch, would you take Conference League, Hutch?
I mean, if it was offered up on a silver platter, then yeah, of course I would. I don't know whether we'll get there, but if any form of European football was offered next season, I think you'd be daft if you wouldn't take it, especially bearing in mind the season we've had. Simon?
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but we think the Conference League is a league we can win, or a competition we can win at least. But then, considering the form we've been on, I'm starting to feel a little bit greedy, and I think we deserve a bit more than that. Like our performance against Barcelona was superb. Like I think we were brilliant. Whether that will translate into getting through into the next round, I mean, I seriously doubt it. Away to Barcelona, but we'll probably get into that. But I'd like to think Europa League is doable, and we have an easy run in. We were talking about this before last week as well. Like the only game that I think stands out as a tricky one is Arsenal, but the league might be over by then. Who knows? But yeah, I think we could. I think we could squeeze into that 7th spot.
The thing is, a lot of people have said, and I think it's taken that a big disruption our season has been we can't do the two games in a week. But it's a bit different if you're in the Conference League or the Europa, because the sort of teams you play in that group stage are so beatable that you can kind of pick a team to beat them, and it doesn't have to be the first team. Whereas if you get in the Champions League, every game's massive. You've got to put your first team out. And if you combine that with the kind of draws we've had in the League Cup and things, it's just been constant Premier League teams in the domestic cups for us. So it's been tough, and I don't think it would be that tough in the Conference League or the Europa. The only problem with the Europa, because I agree with you, Simon, is that there's another English team in there. But maybe we're getting greedy because, as we've said there, we do have quite a winnable run in, but the games are the sort of games we keep cocking up.
Yeah.
Brentford and Everton at home, Reed. We've got Bournemouth and Brighton next. They're both games we lost at home last season. They're that type of opponent. They're probably going to come and play the dreaded low block and we'll just not have a clue. But we'll touch on that in a bit because I'm going to use that as a bit of a segue to the Champions League, because the perspective on those games will be different depending on whether we're still in the Champions League or not. And I think, so Barcelona, first of all, let's just have a little chat about that home leg. Played brilliantly. It was a little bit like the last time we played Barcelona at home in that dominance did not equal goals. But they still got themselves ahead at the end, and then the absolute killer blow of a late penalty. Now, the ref got some hammer. Hutch, I know you love a good bemoan of refereeing decisions. Do you want to give us a little rundown of what irked you on Wednesday night? Because you had your shouty, sweary trousers on at that match, didn't you?
Brace
I
yourself, Roy.
certainly did have my shouty, sweary trousers on at that match. Yeah, I mean, it's probably been covered a million times by now, but is it the Fermin Lopez and the Yamin Yamal blatant yellow cards? Well, they should have been blatant yellow cards, but the referee seemed to know that these players were on yellow cards, and therefore was reluctant to go to his pocket. Tonali got booked for something that was almost nothing. However, prior to this, and it might not have been picked up on the cameras, as Tonali's walking past the referee about 2 minutes before this, he clearly says something to him in Italian. And the ref gets really annoyed by it and goes up to him and starts yabbering on in his face. So I think Tonali basically pointed out that there'd been several challenges by Barcelona players in the run-up to him getting booked that hadn't been properly adjudicated, and as a consequence, Tonali then saw a booking very early on. The linesmen were very quick with the flags, I thought. They were a bit daft with them, and there was that incident, wasn't there, with Elanga, where he's through on goal, and had he scored, the linesman puts his the flag up. I genuinely think that would have been overturned, and it would have been a goal.
Well, no, I'm going to pull you there, because what I think you mean is you think that should have been overturned if the VAR had played it straight, but may it have been one of them where it was so tight to go, let's just go with the online decision, the on-field decision. Because I think
stupid lines out. Yeah,
I think you've very true what you've said about Yamal should have been booked, and that is, we don't know the damage of that yet, because that would have put him out of the second leg for anyone who doesn't know. And if he destroys us on Wednesday night, then we'll look back at that booking as being crucial to what happened in the tie. If the other thing that people are complaining about is that the equaliser came in the 96th minute when there was 4 minutes of added time. But I don't know, is that unfair saying? Go on, Hutch.
I'm going to jump in here. No, I think that he's basically, the referee at this point has his whistle in his mouth. He's ready to blow. The second that we kick that ball either up the pitch or out of play, that's the game ended. It's not like an Alex Ferguson situation where he's basically extending time until Barcelona score. So it is quite clearly one of those where we've cocked that up. That has been, and it's been a feature of our season. We've done something daft. We've cocked it up, and as a consequence, that's why it's 1-1.
I think I probably agree with you. I think we were one big welly away. Well, it was a stupid free kick Willock gave away, and we were one big boot away from. He would have just blew the whistle. He wouldn't have tried and found the time. And the time he did play was because it was Willock's substitution. And there was delays that were real delays. So I'm not too worried about that one. Just going to segue to this. Was as asked, who cut your hair, Simon, the wife or Jamie or David? Now, I mean, that is a valid point, but I would stick up from a bit here, was I, in that this lad does not have many haircuts left. So let's not... let's not...
I'll do with it what I want.
Pressure on him.
Yeah. Basically that was. I'll take it as a compliment. Do you mean like you'd like me to hand over who did it so you know where to go next? Was it, or is it just a compliment? But thank you either way. I just wanted to touch on this.
Thank you for the super chat. Was it? We are open for them. I should have said earlier. If anyone wants to comment, read out. If anyone wants to abuse Hutch again, then I'm quite happy to read those out.
Yeah. Worth
Sorry,
every
go on,
penny. I was just going to say, in my own view of how the ref performed the other night, like he was lenient for a European ref. I was surprised at what he was letting go, and to be honest, some of that worked in our favour because, you mentioned before the previous home tie where Barcelona dominated the ball. I don't think they were as dominant this time, and I think especially people like Joe Linton were disrupting them, and Lewis Hall not giving Yamal any breathing space as well. And some of that was we were giving them a bit of a kick, and the referee was letting it go on both sides. So although the 96th minute and a couple of weird decisions, I kind of enjoyed the fact he tried to let the game flow, and I think that worked in our favour because we could get at them. And I think it will be the opposite of the Nou Camp. I think they will play for the crowd. If we touch them, they'll be falling over, and they'll put pressure on us and dominate the ball that way away from home, which is smart from them. I think what they did this week, like this past week, even though they nearly lost, they poked, prodded, understood how we played, and I think it's going to be a completely different Barcelona. I think someone put in the chat that they won 5-2 this weekend as well, which is
they won 5-2 today against Sevilla.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, just let's segue into that. They won 5-2. Rafinha scored a hat trick. I did notice Pedri got withdrawn at half time, and hopefully that's because he's still struggling a little bit, because the midfield's a big part of this game. And you made a good point there that the ref was letting a lot go before he gave Tonali a stupid booking, which shouldn't have happened, and before he ignored a blatant body check by Lamal. It was favouring us because Joe Linton and Dan Burn both were excellent on the night. Both have been very good lately. Both of those will be suspended if they get another yellow card. So it may be that it was in our favour that it went like that up to a point. And if we get a big old fuss pot in the Nou Camp and we do get through, I think it's the same thing. Joe Linton gets booted and he misses the next match, which I think we can safely say would be against Atletico Madrid because they eviscerated Tottenham in the first leg. And Tottenham at home are no great shakes. But let's not look ahead of that because we do have the small matter of beating Barcelona. When I was leaving the ground after the game, I overheard somebody say it to his mates. Something that I thought, maybe. and tell us what you think. This guy said that late penalty could be a blessing in disguise, right? Which sounds ridiculous, sort of half full glass stuff. But the point he made was, we don't know how to be ahead. And we could go to that new camp 1-0 up, set up horribly defensively, and invite them on a little bit. They score after 15 minutes. They all look at each other as if to say, aren't we playing defensively, and don't really know what to do. They then score after 17 minutes and we end up losing 4-0. If it's 1-1, they've got to go out with a game plan to find a win in the game, and maybe it'll influence the gameplay in a way that might be a positive. Is that ridiculous?
Yes.
Hutch, do you also think that's ridiculous, or do you think we might play better going in their level?
I think
different going in their level.
I think whether it be 1-0 up or 1-1, we will play exactly the same way in the new camp. We will play slightly defensively anyway, but we will play it on the break. And basically just try and get in behind that back line.
I get what he's getting at. Like, our mentality when we're ahead is terrible, and we panic, and we end up playing a low block and concede. So it might bring us out of ourselves and like will take us further up the pitch. I understand that. So yeah, maybe that'll help. But I think it'll be a very different Barcelona setup. Well, not setup necessarily, but mentality. And I think that's going to be very, very difficult. But yeah, look, stranger things have happened, eh?
I feel like you see that a lot these days when we're having a bit of a Hail Mary of a win.
Man United, I still can't get over Man United. That was just ridiculous. And then, then Chelsea yesterday, it's like I was just going through a normal Saturday routine yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, the match is on. Got to the match, I was like, oh, here we go. Oh God, we've scored. Oh no. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's just any time now. The other thing is with the goal yesterday, for the Chelsea goal, I thought it was offside. Like I didn't celebrate straight away because I just thought, nah, that's surely not. That's a great goal. Why? Not at Chelsea away. We're not getting that. And then it got given. I was like, oh no, we're 1-0 ahead and we're away from home.
I didn't think it was offside, but I thought it would potentially get given offside. Have any of you seen the Nottingham Forest one from today?
No. I've heard it's ridiculous.
So if you have a look, so bear in mind, Forest were playing Fulham. Forest, West Ham got a draw yesterday. Tottenham got a draw today. It's pretty much between those three as it seems, unless Leeds get drawn into it. But that win could have done Forest the absolute world of good. They go 1-0 up and it gets dragged back, and it's arguably worse than the Joe Willock one at Spurs. It's like the tip of his toe is offside. And I think the thing is, the mistake that a lot of people make, like commentators, online commentators and things, they make the argument about, is VAR fit for purpose? VAR's tech, it does its job perfectly well. The problem is implementing it like that. That has got to stop. It's got to stop where they give it for that much.
There's an easy solution, isn't there? It's just you put the automated system in place, and if it can't tell if it's onside or offside, then it gets with the on-field decision, and that's it.
Yeah,
done. Job done. Stop getting people and lines out. It's the most time-consuming nonsense rubbish.
To be fair, you don't even need to do that. It's if you can't tell whether it's onside or offside, just give it as a goal.
Yeah.
I mean,
the system should have an allowance that there's got to be a certain part of the body over the line. Or it should be like more clear cut. And if you fall foul of that, you just say, right, fair enough, we'll get the benefit of it another time. Because I think it's just ludicrous. If a goal gets allowed occasionally for being a little bit offside, it's less of a crime than these perfectly good goals getting choked off because someone's got bigger feet or a bigger nose or a worse haircut, because that's what it comes down to. And it's not the VAR's fault, it's the way it's implemented.
No offence to
You're listening to NUFC Bad Haircuts. With,
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah. Anyway, Forest, wrong end of a horrible decision today. And I thought that might have been what they did to Joe Willock yesterday. But they had one of those sort of half-hour checks, don't they, where he had a little look and he went, yeah, it's all right. But I was like you, I was a bit scared. I didn't jump up off the sofa. I thought, oof, be good if this was given.
It was also such a good, like, Tino suddenly appeared in centre midfield and sprints like through some of their players and then just slide rule pass for Willock. Like it was one of the best open play goals I think we've scored this season. And then Willock obviously unselfishly passed it across to Gordon. However, Gordon's first touch is an absolute arse clencher because you're like, give yourself a chance, mate. He nearly like kicks it up in the air for himself, so he has to nod it. His touch is that bad.
He said in his post-match interview he kicked his own foot.
Yeah, God, and it was just like, don't. Oh, it just bubbled up horrendously. Like I've had touches as good as that. But yeah, and then he just knocked it in the back of the net. But yeah, great goal. But yeah, some great performances from some of the team again. Like Lewis Hall, he just he had a bad game against City. He got absolutely roasted a couple of times by Savinho, didn't he? But he had a great game against Barcelona, and then a great game again yesterday. Like such a threat that like pins back that like the right hand side of the opposition, our left hand side. Like he's so good at putting pressure on the other team going the other way and turning and running with the ball. Like he's so good at that. But Tino was great as well. I thought we have to keep him fit. He had a great game.
Yeah, I mean, because we want him primed and ready for a full pre-season at Man City, don't we?
Yeah, that is the risk of him doing so well. Yeah.
I think if there's question marks over the squad that will obviously be affected by what happens in the coming weeks. My personal view is Tino is the one that wild horses will not stop him leaving. I think Man City are desperate for him. He's an outstanding right back. And you know what? We'll get a lot of money for him and he misses a lot of games. And Man City can afford for him to miss a lot of games. We can't. And next year, we either won't have Kieran Trippier or we will have Kieran Trippier and he'll be even less rapid than he is now and probably not able to even put, because he's played well at times this year and sometimes he's looked a bit knackered. So getting that right back is one of many, many issues to face in the summer, but we'll come back to it. But going back to the goal, I've got a thing now that I realised that I do at St James, where if anyone doesn't go to the games, it is a bit difficult and inconsistent to tell if something's going wrong, because the goal will go in, and sometimes sort of the team that's conceded are all around the ref, and the ref puts his hand up and goes, right, this will be checked. But other times, like, the goal just goes ahead. And sometimes it appears on the screen it's getting VAR checked, and sometimes it doesn't, but it clearly is. And the only time I feel you can properly exhale, right, that is a habit I've developed, is when the other team have kicked off and the ball's moving again. And only then do I think, right, it's definitely a goal. Even if it looks like there's nothing wrong with it, there's still a little bit of me holding back for that.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever go.
No, the ones from set pieces are always like corners and stuff like that. It's like, has someone pushed someone? Has someone like looked at someone in the wrong direction? And that, like, something's gonna get given for that. The only ones that you can kind of really relax with is there's a shot from outside the box, which we've had none of this season, apart from like Asula. Like that was one where it was straight up and it was limbs. It was brilliant, but. There's only been rare occasions where that's happened, but yeah, it's like the first thing I always look at is a linesman, like if the flag goes up or anything like that. But yeah, it's that's one of the things that VAR's just ruining, like goals going in. Really
right. I'm going to take you back, right, to 2019, December 2019.
Take me back.
when John Joe Shelby went through against Sheffield United, and the flag went up, and he put the ball in the net, the defence
Yeah.
stopped, the goalkeeper didn't try, and they were all pointing at the linesman saying, "Ha ha, you're an idiot." And the way he celebrated was by drawing the box.
Yeah. How many times have people scored goals like that since though? How like it doesn't happen like that. That
It was a
one
lesson learned, Simon.
example.
It was a lesson learned.
It was a lesson that you play to the whistle. Absolutely, yeah. I completely agree. You play to the whistle, but it's the ones that like where there's little like the offside ones where there's lines drawn, Joe Willock's forehead, like those kind of ones that like kill it off. Like that Shelby one was different because the whistle didn't go.
Do you think if they sorted that out so offsides weren't as ridiculous as that, you might feel better about celebrating goals?
Yeah, if the line's flag doesn't go up, I'm going to celebrate a goal. Like that,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, you
that's
still
fair.
celebrate them, don't you? There's just like from where we are, my eyes just flick out of that screen. Same when we concede as well. I'm thinking, oh, is there any chance VAR's going to get us off the hook here?
They say that they're gonna. There's a chance that they're going to implement this Arsene Wenger thing, whereby you give the advantage. You give the advantage to the attacker, and there has to be daylight. And that could go out one of two ways, couldn't it? It could either go where basically it's going to change tactically to a much more defensive game, or it's going to basically open it up for, rather than your big strong attackers being, the ones that everyone's going to go for. People are just going to be looking at your Dwight Gales, your Michael Owens to win onto it.
Modern target reference players.
What a weird pair to bring up, eh?
Well, no, but fast, like not Newcastle Michael Owen, like Liverpool Michael Owen, where he's really fast and he's just going to get in behind.
So yeah, Bellend is what you're talking about. Those kind of players.
Okay, I'll throw Craig Bellamy in there. Okay, I'll do it again. Dwight Gale was not a Bellend. Dwight Gale,
no,
lovely.
Fair enough. I'll give you that one. Yeah, great in the Championship.
The thing you mean is players where you can ping the ball along, and you can make a run in behind the defender. Because that was how Liverpool used to score every goal back then. When Gerrard would ping it long, Owen would run off the defender's shoulder into the space behind. So it'll be a speedy man's game because you can make that run earlier, and he's got a. And if you're a little bit, you don't even have to run off his shoulder. You can just take off, and as long as there's not a bit of daylight. And then do you think they'll introduce extra baggy shirts as well? So like you can billow out behind them, and you'll go because right now they're like a second skin, aren't they? You nearly dislocate your shoulder taking them off. But
I think usually
it's going to be a lot easier to pull them back, isn't it? If they've got a really baggy shirt.
The best piece of technology in football at the moment, right now, is goal line technology because it's instantaneous and it's accurate. If you do this, if you just bring that rule in, where if it's you use automated offside, if the offside, and if you can't tell if they're offside or not, then it's the on-field decision. Boom, done. On we go with our lives.
No, if they can't tell if they're offside, they're onside, and just do away with linesmen because they're useless.
They actually are useless. Like the only thing that they're used for now is to basically indicate who's got the throw in, and the amount of times that they're wrong is untrue.
Yeah.
And they never give a foul throw either because all the throws we see are foul throws.
Again.
But anyway, let's not get
because
into
the thing is, like Hutch, you went back to December 2019. I'll take you back. I guess it'll be 3 or 4 weeks to the Villa game without VAR, and the shocking performance of the ref, but in particular the linesman who stood 5 foot away from all the wrong decisions and didn't give that penalty and didn't.
Someone was saying the other day, like people, they're just not giving decisions. Like they're not reffing the game because of VAR. Like VAR is a terrible. Get rid of VAR. I hate VAR. Get rid of it.
No, it's one of those things, isn't it?
Rubbish.
If the automatic response is we're going to go with the on-field decision, and the on-field decision is I don't really know what's going on there, then they're not going to give it. And so as a consequence, like the number of like penalties that we probably should have had this season, it's like the referee's gone, well, it could go either way. We'll wait for VAR, and then VAR go, well, it probably is, but on-field decision.
Yeah, it's just rubbish.
Hang on, I've
It's
got
not
a mission here.
It's rubbish though, Simon. It's the implementation of it.
Yeah, that's right. It's and it's either implemented with the benefit of technology taking the edge off, or it's implemented by 3 idiots who can't get it right, as per Villa. But I just want to jump on Quinny's comment there. I highlighted it, but it's still the latest comment. Is it true Wissa refused to be in the team photo? I'm guessing he means for the Chelsea game. I did see there was one. Well, it would be because Barcelona was a draw, so there wouldn't have been a photo. Did Wissa appear at Chelsea?
Don't know.
Did he come off the bench?
No, he didn't.
Because we had the situation against Barca where you've got him and Voltemari were both on the bench with Asula leading the line, and then when they made the changes later, they brought Gordon and Murphy on, and they both just stayed on the bench all night.
Asula leading the line instead of Wissa is a slap around the face, to be honest, mine. But for Wissa, I would just say be better because he's not done much yet, has he? So whatever.
Get a bit.
Good.
I mean, has Wissa been an abject disaster? I'll tell you what. I'll throw you that. Has Wissa been an abject disaster, or is it just a case of recovering from that long-term injury, getting into a role in the team and hitting the ground running? And I will check out, see if I can find the team photo.
Right. So with Wissa, in the words of one of our great friends, I think it's still in the realms of give it a chance. I'd like to think the best of people because he had a horrible injury before the season started. He's been in and out of the team. He's not had a good run in the team. And he just doesn't seem to be breaking his way. And I think there's been a sickness going through the team. I don't know if he got caught with that as well. So I don't think he's had the opportunity to prove his value yet, be my assumption. But there's got to be a good reason that Asula starts instead of him when he's worth however much we paid for him. And Asula was 13 quid from Stoke.
I don't want to contradict you, Simon.
Sheffield United.
Sure.
Thank you, Sheffield United, red and white.
I'm pretty sure the last time we saw this friend and his comments on Wissa is that he's been crap. So
yeah, he has been crap. But I'm trying to give extenuating circumstances for that crapness. I think he's scored a couple of easy goals, but he's not. He's obviously something going on fitness-wise or fit in the team, and we know how likes to bring people slowly into the team. So there might be some thinking behind it, apart from Voltemari, who he's thrown into every game. But that one aside,
I do think that you can look at it and say we don't know what the circumstances are, why he's not playing. We don't know whether it's performances in training. We don't know whether it's previous performances. We don't know whether he's like I saw in Blue Sky there was a suggestion that he might still have a lingering knee injury. Don't know that that's the case or not. And as a consequence, because we don't know these things, you kind of have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, is he in the picture? Drum roll, please.
Right. So, there's a little thing. What does a drum roll, isn't there?
Is he in the picture both metaphorically and physically?
Yeah. He is not in the team picture from the dressing room at Stamford Bridge. I took my time because he's quite a little bloke and there's a lot of people in a small space. But I think to clarify that, you've got the full team, all the subs. Ross Wilson's in there, John Ruddy's in there, all the backroom staff, and it looks like everyone who's travelled, and no Johan Wissa. And before anyone suggests he won't have been taking the photo, that's not how it works. They get the actual photographer in there. Now,
you might have just nipped the toilet.
Well, one of two things has happened. Either he's just went somewhere, perhaps the toilet, perhaps he's had to meet his last, whatever, and he's missed out on the photo, and it's all perfectly innocent. Or has been in the huff because he hasn't got on. And even though I looked for that photo, I haven't researched to see, because I can't remember if he played. He didn't come on, did he?
Just for Waz's sake as well, we're now making excuses for why he isn't the team photo, as well as why he isn't getting a go in the team. I'm going to throw it in there. Maybe he was doing a poo. So sometimes you got to go.
Perhaps, right? If he's got the sickness bug, he's been isolated away from the rest of the team, and is in fact doing a poo, because that's pretty much all he's done for the last few days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We've all been there.
We can come up with more excuses if you want.
He didn't play. He didn't come on at all. So he couldn't have had that thing where you do your first run and it jiggles a stool loose, and before you know it, you've got to find the nearest toilet.
He's gone from a because it's always a pre-game. Maybe it was a pre-game that just happened post-game.
A nervous one.
Yeah.
But maybe he has taken the huff. I think it's probably, I would say it's more rational to make excuses or think of reasons why he's not in the team photo than to make excuses for him still being poor after however many, is it like 8 months of the season? And I think it's could be you could see something out of him in the remainder of the season, but I think this program going down the pan, oh no, it's become the Whistler show. You could see something out of him for the rest of the season, but you're going to have to do something with him because we'll not be able to sell him in the summer. No one's going to want to buy him after the money we paid. And after this season, the way forward with Wissa, I think, is to get a tune out of him. But he becomes a Sula. He becomes the person who comes off the bench, who starts the League Cup games, who, plays if he hits a rich vein of form and somebody else is injured.
At least Chris has got an easy job for the title of this podcast, which is Whisters in the Pisser. Yeah!
Oh, yeah. What is that the same Chris who told us not to swear before? Before 9 o'clock. And
that's very tame. Come on, get a VAR decision on if that's swearing or not.
What? Get a VAR decision of the independent ombudsman when they're taking a license off us and finding Chris a few bucks. I'm sure that will not happen. So, anyway. Let's get back on Champions League, because times are getting on and there's a lot happening at the moment. So we take the 1-1 lead. We've said you've kind of poo-pooed the idea of Mana. Howe. What are you, 6 or something?
We've just had half an hour of talking about Whistler being in the toilet, and you've decided to use the phrase "poo-pooed." Come on,
it's like people have been listening to this on the radio, thinking
serious journalism. Serious.
What are you going to do next? Stop blowing raspberries and stuff. Big stinky stupid heads.
Yeah, absolutely. Without swearing. Right. Sorry, carry on with your point.
I was trying to drive us back to Barcelona, right? And the fact that the guy who I eavesdropped on made the suggestion that we might be better off going there with 1-1, and you guys had rubbished that suggestion. Suggestion.
Yeah.
But realistically, let's just be honest. What do you think happens in the new camp?
Well,
Hutch, you go
first. Barcelona have got a pretty tight. They're pretty good at home, aren't they? They've not lost all season in La Liga. They've only lost once all season, and that was to Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, losing 2-1.
Right. Well researched, Hutch. I thought that was a bit where that was going to be one of them bits that happens to us where you're like, Barcelona have got quite a good home record, haven't they? And we all look at each other like it was like that meme of the three Spider-Men. Just I don't know, but like yes,
What is their home record? Yeah, so no, they've got a very good home record at home. 14 wins, no draws, no defeats, 46 goals for, 8 against in La Liga. As I've said, the only time they lost is in the Champions League, but this is in the Champions League, gentlemen.
yeah,
So
it
anything
is.
is possible. It's unlikely, but it is possible.
So sorry, so they've lost that game to Paris and they've won every other match at
Every
home
other
this
match.
season.
Yep.
Right, okay, we need to do a little bit of digging here into what at home means for Barcelona this year. So
Okay.
they've spent most of this season playing at, I want to
They have.
say, a 6,000 capacity seat at ground elsewhere, while the new camp undergoes a refurbishment. So that would be a very, very different animal than playing at the Camp Nou. They then reopened it, I think, around about Christmas time. So they moved back into the newly refurbished Spotify Camp Nou with a capacity of around about 44,000. And they've only just ahead of this weekend's game had that capacity up to 62,000. So now, for a start, Hutch, that makes me angry with you because you refused to go with me on the grounds that you didn't think you'd get a ticket. But Newcastle fans,
Technically, I didn't get a ticket when they were originally announced. Technically,
right? Okay, if you're trying to get me on a technicality, I will say technically you're a word I'm not allowed to use. But I think it was always mooted that we would get that higher allocation, and the clubs had a bit of a chase around with it. But we had a plan to go there, and for various reasons, it's fallen apart. So we'll be stuck in front of the TV this week instead of doing similar on-the-spot reports as we sent through from Paris. But it's kind of new. It's the new camp. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's different circumstances to when they've racked up all those wins, isn't it? But
So
just
the
because they're
game against
Barcelona?
the game against PSG was at the Estadi Olympic Louis Companys Stadium, which is the Olympic stadium that they were currently using, and the second largest stadium in Barcelona. So they obviously used that one previously for the
Champions League.
Well, wasn't there a thing, right, where they hired that out on the basis that they thought this is the time frame that's going to be up until the point where we can get people in, and then the building contractors who were working on the Camp Nou basically came back and said, we need 6 more weeks, and they tried to hire it out again, but like Beyonce or someone was there for like 2 days, and as a consequence, they couldn't get it for those 6 weeks. So they had to go and play in their training facilities for like 3 or 4 games. And
you know what? It sounded like we'd done really great research on this, and you've just completely
I've just
upset
killed
the
it.
apple pie here, haven't you? Just by creating a scenario that none of us knows if it's what happened or didn't.
That I am telling you, right? It might not have been Beyonce. It might have been someone else, but I am absolutely positive that is it.
It's not important.
The person who was at the stadium is not important, but that is effectively what happened. They booked it out for a certain length of time. The contractor said that they needed to extend it. They tried to book it out again. Someone else had already booked it for a concert, and as a consequence, it led to them playing in their training ground. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not entirely sure how many games that they've played. In fact, it can only be about. They open it in February, so it can't be that many.
Did they open the new camp in February? Well,
Yeah.
well. Anyway, the fact is they've played all over the place. They've just been back at the new camp for the last few weeks, and it's maybe a little bit of a different environment than what they used to, and that might help. That might help. Our fans will go there, make a lot of noise. Our fans, which won't include any of us, because you lot wouldn't come. In case anyone's just tuned in, since I didn't mention that. Simon didn't want to come because he's going to Centre Parks, and Hutch didn't want to come because he's a Michael Owen. Right.
A rapid fast striker. Yeah.
But, moving on from that, it's all right. I'm sure I'll speak to you again in 5 or 10 years once I've got over it. The game is on Wednesday.
Yes.
Obviously, if it's level, it goes to extra time and penalties. Again, so I don't think we've really put it out there. Go on. I'm going to nail you for a Barcelona prediction right now. I know we haven't done comparisons and stuff yet, but we talked about the first leg, so the second leg follows on. What do you reckon? Can we do it? Hutch?
No, I think it'll be a draw at the end of 90, and I think we'll lose extra time.
Oh. Simon?
I think we'll lose 2-0 on the night.
My head says that, but there's been something heartening about the last few displays, and I wonder if we can do it. If we can do it, the whole Champions League could open up a little bit. I'd fancy us against Atletico. But if we go out by losing to Barcelona in the new camp, there's no great shame in that, is there?
No.
I mean,
unless it's like 13-0 or something.
Just on a little mini rant as well, I think the past couple of weeks, like this was going to be an awfully tough month, and still is a tough month, right? Up until the post-Mackems, maybe we can breathe a bit. We've played well. We've played really, really well. All the how out nonsense, and it is absolute nonsense, can just stop. Like what he is doing with that team, with the amount of games that we've played the most games out of any team in Europe. Fact.
That's true.
And on a budget that doesn't compete with the top 6 and the top teams in Europe, with injuries all over the place, and whatever else has been going on, and the Isaac stuff in the summer and the background stuff, all of that, I think he's doing a fantastic job. And what he can do, even at this point in the season with this team, against Barcelona, against Man United, who are third, gave us a good chance against City, but City were just levels above us, unfortunately. And then beating Chelsea away, who are fighting for a Champions League place. He is doing a great job. And if you look at the nightmare that is happening at Spurs, that is exactly why we don't want to be doing the manager roundabout. So I think he's doing a fantastic job.
I agree with you broadly, but you've got to think there's a lot of things that haven't gone so well. If you look at
it's not been perfect. It's not been perfect.
Everton, losing at home to Brentford, the amount of goals we've conceded, the manner of some of the goals we've conceded,
and the late concessions,
hold on to a lead. I think, and then you've got to look at the money spent last summer and see. We've just said we think Wissa has not worked out. I don't think many would disagree with that. There's more of a conversation to have about Elanga, Voltemade, and I think probably people feel quite good about Chow and I would say Ramsey.
Yeah, I agree.
But overall, it wasn't a great summer, and it's a case of how much is that.
There's also signs of hope for Elanga as well in the past couple of games, past couple of weeks. He's been,
as I say,
if not brilliant, better.
I think Elanga and Voltemade, if they have the full preseason, if they buy a team and they know how to play it, they could both have really bright futures. They've got the age profile, but it's questions for how to answer, and I think he probably will get next season, but how the rest of this season pans out is going to be critical to that.
There's a fascinating chat. Sorry, Jamie, just to point out, there's a fascinating question in the chat there.
Is it this one from Brian? I had it starred, but
yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that's a fascinating question.
I think that's a very, very straightforward question. So you can only win one of those games. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do because I can read Hutch's mind. Right,
Even through that
read your
filter.
mind. I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, you could beat the Mackhams, draw with Barcelona, and then win on penalties. That's exactly what you were going to say, Hutch, isn't it? And now you're going to say no. But that is off the table, right? You're not finding a loophole where you can win them both.
I was not going to say that.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
Right.
I think you need
Where's
more
the button to mute his mic?
I think you need more bloody data points, right? Because you could beat Barcelona, but then you could lose to Atletico Madrid, so you haven't really progressed any further.
You need more data points.
I need more bloody data.
You
I need
have
more data.
progressed
What?
further.
From the future? You
From the
need to know,
future.
like, so hang on. So
It is a
saying-
hypothetical question. It
If
is
we
a
beat-
hypothetical
If
question.
we beat Barcelona, we're through to
Therefore-
the next round.
We're through to the next round where we play Atletico Madrid.
And you might beat them.
Realistically, okay, do you beat Atletico Madrid? They beat us in pre-season.
You know what?
They beat us this pre-season.
But pre-season.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Nah. I'm not
just
having
saying.
that.
I'm
No,
just-
no, no. I think Jamie's pointing to the fact that it's an easy question because you beat Barcelona. First of all, it's
Barcelona.
millions of pounds, millions and millions of
Mhm.
pounds, and then second of all, we could go on and win the Champions League. We could. There's
Yeah.
like we're further in that competition than we've ever been before, and then we've got the easy run after the Mackhams, and the Mackhams will go, well, we beat you, but they're not in the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
They're not in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich where we win. Eh?
Yeah.
Bayern Munich. Oh no.
Might
Oh.
happen.
Oh no.
I mean, it won't, but you know, it might.
I'm just going to go to Budapest on my own for the final when you don't come because you've got to pick something up from Argos or you're getting another one. Whatever wife-driven tummy rubbish you come out with in the build-up to that one.
To the
Anyone
listeners,
would like to be
right,
my friend for the
applied.
European Cup final, please email NUFC Talk Radio with the caption, "Ooh, friend."
No, I think we'd all be going to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, as we've said off air.
You wouldn't
is-
actually go to Bayern Munich. You'd have to go to bloody Hungary.
I
Oh,
said
yes,
Budapest.
He did
Yeah.
say Budapest, yeah. He was about to.
Jesus.
I was about, but still, it's Bayern Munich, isn't it?
I put a
Anyway.
tweet, you know,
Broccoli on his
I put a
Nando's.
tweet up a
Jesus
couple of years
Christ.
ago when that final got announced. This is true. I put a tweet up saying, "I've just booked, all my tickets to Bulgaria for this. Booked up flights to Bulgaria for Newcastle getting into this game. Way in advance, expecting us to get the European Cup final, and the amount of responses I got, people telling me it's in Hungary, right? It's the most successful fishing expedition I've ever had. You know, and just sit there till 2:00 in the morning, just no, I'm not hungry and stuff like that. But we might actually get there as well.
Yeah.
There are some hurdles to get over. We've got to avoid boredom.
Right.
So we're all, just
Okay,
to say
answer the
though,
question, to answer
we're
the
all
question,
agreed. Yeah,
I'd rather beat Barcelona and go through.
there we go.
However, that means Sunday would be absolutely bloody awful.
Yeah.
Made worse by the fact there's no trains to the northeast that day either. So
Wait, to be
I'm
fair,
on-
mate, you don't want to be getting on the train that day because then you've got all your Durham Mackhams going up on the train, and
how are they
It's
getting?
not
Serves
worth
you right for living down there.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah,
No offense,
But yeah.
I was living down there. Not that.
we're open and equal to all fans who listen to this show.
Yeah.
Just
Um,
unless you're actually on the show.
Oh God, yeah. If you're on the show, you're wide open. Interesting comment there from Boaty. He's talking about bumholes again. He's obviously in keeping with the theme of the show. Shall we do some comparisons? So we all agree though that we beat Barcelona, and that doesn't mean you can't get a draw with the Mackhams. It wouldn't be the absolute end of the world, but I think it means you can't win them both. So you beat Barcelona, you go through, you have a legendary win, you beat Atletico Madrid, you beat what would probably be Arsenal in the semi-final, and then look at whoever makes it the final. And I have a fantastic trip to Bulgaria while you lot go shopping, hiking, or whatever it is you're going to do then. It's going to be carnage between Geordies and Mackems on Sunday, says Choppy. And yes, it is. I'm not really sure. Jamie, you have the biggest pay I've ever seen my commissions, mate. I'm not sure where that's getting at from, was I there? But
well done for
I
nearly
wonder if he's
censoring
referring
that
to
word.
you two. Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
Nearly censored it. It was close.
Right. Okay. Let's do some comparisons then. We've got a bit. I think I should point out here that like it is 364 days. Well, this time last year, lads, we were arriving in London for the League Cup final. But because we've got a bit of a packed schedule this week, we've got we're going to push that back to the next show, which we're hoping we'll be back from the derby in time to do next week.
So are we not discussing wheels and doors this week?
Sit on that for a bit, yeah. Or are we gonna have to go into that? So
we've got to go into that.
Yeah, you can't just say something like that and then say we're not telling anybody. So this is almost as interesting as Would You Rather Beat Sunderland or Barcelona, except it's not. But it's from a documentary about Tottenham that I told the story that there's a documentary about the Spurs squad a few years ago when Mourinho was manager, and I watched it. And at one point, they have a conversation about a question: are there more wheels in the world or more doors? And it can get a really good conversation going. It's actually quite an intelligent thing to talk about. But the funniest part is Harry Kane's just listing the kinds of doors there are in his argument, and he's going, "Yeah, there's kitchen doors, garage doors, front doors, back doors, doors on advent calendars, doors on cars, doors on washing machines," and we ended up. I told this story at the start of the weekend, and we ended up just talking about that all weekend, didn't we? Like walking down the street and going, like, how many wheels can you see and how many doors can you see? But yeah, we'll talk about the game a little bit more next week. But we're not getting into the League Cup final, even though we're away. And if anybody didn't know, there's a bit of a celebration at the Stack tomorrow night where they're giving the League Cup one more show around, I think, before we send it back. Or it might be, do you think you get a little replica version that you just keep forever? I think that seems really weird, doesn't it? It'll probably be that. Because I'd imagine the real one's back down already for the final next weekend. So yeah, there's a bit of a celebration at the start if anybody's interested. I think there's a couple of players going and stuff, and which is weird because you'd hope they've got their minds on Barcelona. But anyway, we will talk about a look back at the League Cup final if we make it back from the Martins game in any fit state. But for this week's comparison, Simon, you had a bit of a one about post-Chelsea where we are, didn't we? I think this was quite interesting. But you might prove me wrong with what you're about to say.
Yeah, so my comparison is about where we were in a similar season to this season. So how's kind of seasons have gone? Good season, bad season, good season, bad season, relatively to the performance that we've had. So we're currently on 30 games and we're on 42 points. In the same season, in the 23-24 season, at this point, we're on 53 points and we were 7th. So comparatively, we were doing a lot better. But this is also the season where we ended up missing out on Europe because of the blooming Man United FA Cup game.
Yeah.
So we ended up finishing 7th and recovered from what we thought was a terrible position at the time, fought our way up the league, and were rewarded with very little, unfortunately. So also in that season, we played 30 games. It wasn't until about April where we got to 30 games. The reason for that has obviously been that our involvement this season, things like the League Cup and the Champions League, and the FA Cup. So we've actually played a lot less games than we have at the same point this season. So it's just that gap season where we're in the Champions League, we're fighting on too many fronts, and the squad is struggling, and we've had more games than we've ever had before. So, in terms of comparison, we're a little bit behind. We're probably about 11 points behind where we were in that same season, and you've got to say a lot of that is down to those games where we've given away leads and we've thrown away points. But interestingly enough, in the same season that year, it was around this weekend we played Chelsea and we actually lost away to Chelsea. So
really?
we lost.
Par for the course for before yesterday.
Well, exactly, yeah. So it was played on the 11th of March, so there or thereabouts in terms of league games, and we lost 3-2. Jackson scored first. God, does he still play for Chelsea? Has he moved on?
He's at Bayern Munich, isn't he? But he's on loan from Chelsea.
I think he's on loan.
Yeah. We then made it 1-1 with that guy who's injured and now plays for Liverpool. And then they took the lead through Cole Palmer and Mudryk to make it 3-1, and we scored a late consolation with Murphy in the 90th minute.
Yes.
So
that goal was unbelievable, man.
This was a really poor performance, though. Even though Chelsea are a good team, I remember being pretty angry after that, in the style of sort of Brentford or Everton the other week, in that they just let poor goals in. One of their goals was really, really bad, and I can't remember why.
It was actually sandwiched between two wins as well, both home, but a 3-0 drubbing of Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then an absolute goal fest against West Ham, which was 4-3. But yeah,
yes.
Going back to the goals, the first one was like a Palmer shot. It was a really weak Palmer shot, but it kind of like got flicked on by Jackson. The second one was just one of those. Dubravka was in goal for some reason, and it was one of those that is really, really soft into the bottom corner, and that's Dubravka kryptonite. He just can't save
One
it.
that he can't bottom his right. He kind of died. Yeah.
And the other one was Mudryk. I wonder what happened to him. He just basically danced through our defence and rounded Dubravka. And that was soft because the defence just opened up for him and did nothing to try and stop him.
And
do we not know what's happened to Mudryk?
Yeah,
we know what's happened to Mudryk. We do know what's happened to Mudryk. I'm trying to be funny, Simon.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, is
yes.
Is he alleged to have misbehaved?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
but just also to look at the comparison for form through the rest of the season. So, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, right? They were against, after this Chelsea game, were West Ham, we won, Everton, we drew, Fulham, Tottenham, Palace, Sheffield United, Burnley, Brighton, Manchester United, and Brentford. Now that is a comparably easy run-in, similar to what we have now, and we won 6 out of those games, drew 2, lost 2. So there are plenty of points to be gained before the end of the season and end up in a relatively similar position. So I think what we were talking about earlier, finishing 7th, looking at the Europa League, I think that's highly likely if we have anything near a similar finish to this season.
This is a weaker Premier League in that you had all of your top 6 and Aston Villa were quite strong that year. So the top 8 was the traditional Sky 6, ourselves and Villa, all sort of duking it out, and they were all quite strong. And behind Man United to 9th, there'll have been a bit of a fall off, I assume. Whereas this year, I think everyone's capable of being quite bad. Exhibit A being Liverpool drawn at home to hapless Spurs today. Exhibit B being the fact that Spurs are nearer the Championship than any of that. And and maybe you don't need as many points to finish in slightly higher positions. But I think we'll have a little bit of time over the international break to breathe and have a look at it, and we just need 3 points off Sunderland. But
Yeah.
before we go on to Sunderland and comments, Hutch, have you got any comparables?
So yeah, I've had a quick look at other times that we've played the Mackems following on from a European adventure. And it's not pretty reading. I mean, we've covered.
We'll just miss that out then.
Right. Okay, well, I mean, we've covered 2 of these games already because obviously we played the Mackems just after playing Bayer Leverkusen this season.
Yes.
And previously we've discussed as well when we played Benfica at home, drawing 1-1 against Benfica, and then losing 3-0 the following game, but that was back in April 2013. The previous one to that was actually in 2002, 2003, when we played Dynamo Kiev, and we lost 2-0 at Dynamo Kiev. But then we beat the Mackems 2-0 at home. Can you guys remember this game?
I can. I'll tell you, I've got a story about this game. So, I was like a youngster at the time, and I used to spend my summers working in the United States, coaching football, as you guys know. And I finished my last day of working was the Friday before that game, and I moved heaven and earth, phoning head office to make sure I could get a flight back on the Saturday for the game to be on the Sunday, and I'm sure the game was a Saturday kickoff in the end. And I remember phoning my mother from the Ramada Inn at at Newark Airport to find out the score and shouting "yes" across the whole lobby. And Shearer and Bellamy scored, I believe.
They did. Bellamy scored in the 2nd minute. Shearer scored in the 39th minute. So a little bit of doom and gloom recently, but we can beat the Mackems following a European adventure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think you've set up a really nice segue there, because we'll go into the Mackems game because we've only got 10 minutes left. Because I think there's an interesting point there. Each of those defeats, and it is worrying if we do end up going to extra time and whatnot in Barcelona, and it takes a bit of it's going to take a Herculean effort over there regardless. But so you've got to worry about that. But I think both of those other games, especially earlier this season, saw a much, much stronger, much more confident Sunderland side, which they're ready, waiting, primed for that game. Sunderland, to me, from afar, look a little bit like it's fell apart, to the extent that the manager, who's taken them up when they had no right, who's got them spent a lot of this season in the top half of the Premier League table, they appear now to be shouting for him to get him out. So it's a big old game, as ever. Simon, how are you feeling about it? Bear in mind the info Hutch has just given you. Bear in mind how Sunderland are at the minute.
Yeah, so Sunderland won 1 in their last 6, drawn 1, lost the rest. Oh, I don't know, but I'm sure Hutch will help me out with that. I think we'll win, and I think we'll win comfortably. I know we've struggled with 2 games a week this season and the late goals and all of that kind of crap, but recently there seems to be a rhythm to our game. And I think now that we can deal with chopping and changing the team, people know that we've put people in awkward positions on the pitch, like Voltemade playing in midfield, and that seemed to work a little bit better this week. Voltemade looked a bit fitter, was a bit more physical, was getting involved a bit more. It wasn't brilliant, but it was better. And I think we're far too much for them now. So I think we win 2-0.
Hutch?
So to help you out, Simon, they beat Burnley 3-0 back in February and then drew with Bournemouth, but they've lost against Brighton. Oh no, hang on. Did they beat Leeds as well?
They beat Leeds.
They
Yeah,
beat
that's
Leeds.
in their last 6. That Leeds was the one they beat.
But they've lost against Fulham. They've lost against Arsenal. So basically, every time they've gone,
Port Vale, which I know is the
lose
cup, so
against
not in the
Port
league.
Vale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connor, seeing Dan Ballard's out with an injury there, which is always
I couldn't tell you whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest.
it's a good
It's
thing.
a good thing.
He played really well for them this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's only can be a positive.
It's one of those things I don't really pay attention to them until we actually come to play them.
This is a good point, because right, there's what happens a lot, and I think we can cover this a bit next week, is they say things and they get wound up about things that don't really happen. So the thing that I've seen them saying lately is war flags have been big enough that they're going to do one of the massive displays before the Sunderland game. And I saw today some Sunderland fans say about the war flags display that it'll probably be really bitter, all about them, when's the last time they played in Europe. And we aren't like that. I would like to think that the war flags display will be about bigging up Newcastle. It'll be about us and what we want to achieve. Whereas when they had a display for the FA Cup game, they got in trouble because they wanted it to be a negative display about us and our ownership. And I think that's in everything they do. If I can recommend everybody, if you don't already, there is an account on X or Twitter called The Deluded World of RTG. RTG being a Sunderland message board called Ready to Go. And somebody who owns this account goes in, collates the daftest comments and puts them up as tweets, as screenshots. And some of the stuff is just off this planet. But my whole life, well, since Newcastle became a really good, really big Premier League team in the 90s, which is most of my life, if I'm honest, Sunderland have had a bit of a thing about Newcastle, and everything they do is through a Newcastle filter. Like if people don't know what FTM means, I cannot see it before 9 o'clock. But that's on. It's written all over the ground. It's in all the Twitter names. It's in the flag displays. Their slogan is having a pop at us, and what we do, it's more about Newcastle United, isn't it? And our display will be about Newcastle. It'll be about morale boosting for the game ahead, morale boosting for what we want to do, which is qualify for Europe, and hopefully a distraction before we play Atletico in the next round of the Champions League. So
They've always been that Hinter club, though, haven't they? Like they've always been like effectively in our shadow to a degree, certainly since the 90s, and their fans very much revel in the fact that they are that. Well, there's a certain section of the fans anyway that certainly revel in the fact that they are that, and they would. Is it fair to say that they would prefer us to lose than them to win? In almost any scenario.
I think if you give them a scenario where the last game of the season, they're playing an opponent, and if they beat them, we don't win the league. But if they lose, they go down. They take the relegation. I honestly think that. But this was I just weighing in there. Thank you for the super chat there. Was I weighing in on the conversation? If we score 3 goals in each, we win both. How's that? So that's relating to Sunderland and Barcelona across the week. So that'd be 6 altogether.
I think that would certainly be the case. I think that would be certainly the case against the MORTEMs. However, I'm not necessarily sure that would be the case against Barcelona.
I was going to say, how many would we have to let in? Okay, so Hutch, have you said what your prediction is then for the MORTEMs?
I'm going to go 3-1. I think they'll score. But
do you think they'll score at a worrying time, or will it be a late consolation?
Ooh, do I want 1-0 down, 3-1 up, or do I want? I want 1-0 down, 3-1 up.
1-0. Do you want to know what my ideal score is, right?
Go on then.
And I don't think I'd have the nerves for this, but it'd be brilliant, I think, if it was 2-1 to us. I don't really mind so much how the first two happened, but for the winner to come in the 97th minute from Dan Burn. You know how they have that whole till the end thing? I think I would be up at about 4 o'clock in the morning online making till the end memes and messages and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to predict that we win a tight game. I think they are a spent force, and I think we do have that little bit of rhythm. Albeit I'm worried that Barcelona might take a bit out of us. So I'm just going to go through a few comments because we are running out of time. But as I said, the Brokeback Boys show has a ring to it. Simon, I don't know if you're planning on doing a spin-off. He's also said Newcastle are apparently looking at centre-back Richard Varcek, who I think won Wimbledon in 1997. That's a very niche joke, isn't it? I hope someone out there's giving a little chuckle because they actually got that. Just Geordie, very positive here. I'm not worried at all going to Barca. How many thought we were going to get a result yesterday? I believe in the lads. They're all pulling in the same direction. So, I think a lot of people have been a bit buoyed by what's happened in recent weeks. I wouldn't ever say I'm not worried at all about playing Barcelona away. But it feels like, I think we feel a hell of a lot more positive about it than we might have done the other week. Simon Davies' comment, I just didn't get up there. Problem, and you've got to see it on the flip side of the coin, this is true. The problem with Newcastle is at this moment in time, they're inconsistent. Sorry, just being honest. Sunderland at home, I think we're very confident about, but it could be the same performance against Everton. And we absolutely do not want that. And then I think just going along the lines of what you said, Simon, opinions are opinions, but it gets the point it's intentional. Chris yesterday had a face like a smacked bottom because we won. And I think you do get that a little bit when people go, I wouldn't say it's about Chris necessarily, but people do go a bit far in the direction of they want Howe out so much that they're almost a little bit sort of on the fence about wins because it sort of puts more ammo in the Howe-in thing. But I think the whole thing, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Right. We're on 9 o'clock. Guys, have you got any important points that you haven't been able to raise because I've been talking?
Not for me. I could kind of do with going for a whistle, to be honest.
Oh, dear me. Well, that'll... See, if people haven't been listening all the way, that would sound even worse than it actually is. Right, well, and on that bombshell, thank you, Simon. Thank you, Hutch.
Cheers,
thank you
guys.
to everyone for listening, for commenting, for super chats. We don't know what state we'll be in this time next week, but we'll try our very best to make some kind of sense. Thank you to everyone. I think one thing you can guarantee is that it will be carnage. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks. Good
Cheers,
night.
lads.